Everyone, and thank you for joining. My name is Yoni Osherov. I'm a general partner at Entrée Capital. Prior to that, I spent over 7 years at Monday. I've been there the CRO, built the sales motion from scratch, and basically been part of helping to scale the business from 10 million in ARR to over a billion. And I'm really excited to be here with you all today. We have two incredible founders that built amazing companies with us. And now we have a third founder that joined us. Ilan, thanks for joining. And they will share with us today their experience of getting from an early stage startup from zero to real traction and what actually worked for them together. So maybe we'll kick it off with some intros. And Stav, let's start with you.
Hi.
And if you can also share what Alta is doing, that would be amazing.
Amazing. So hi, I'm Stav, co-founder and CEO of Alta. Alta is a go-to-market platform that build agents to help you scale your business. So from like a data layer that connected to your CRM to AI SDR, inbound and outbound SDR to help you generate pipeline. And we continue evolving the platform for sales use cases as well. In my background, I was working with Yoni long night on the data and SQL in Monday. I was one of the first employees at Monday.com, something like I don't know, 9 years ago. And I built a tool called Big Brain over there. And after a few years, I led the Monday product and part of the growth organization. Yeah, so that's me.
Yeah, Yoav, you can go.
Cool. So, hey everyone, thanks for having us and thanks for joining. So my background is AI and video, and if you know what Guidde does, it's not surprising. Basically, that's also how I met Dan, my co-founder, back in 2010 when he co-founded a different company in the AI and video ecosystem, and I joined as one of their first employees. And since then, before Guidde, I was leading different product teams in early stage startups, and I think 0 to 1 million is probably the best part to be a builder or to be a founder. And when COVID started, Dan, my co-founder, and I kind of reconnected and started working on Guidde. What Guidde does in 2 seconds is basically using AI to create instructional video. You can explain any feature, any workflow, any integration with the video, and we'll do all the heavy lifting for you, the music, the motion, the visual, the script. And again, we'll talk about it probably later in the webinar.
Amazing. And Ilan, maybe I'll just explain why everyone sees you walking, but
yes, please.
Ilan had an unexpected change in his flight. But really big thank you, Ilan, for joining us in the airport. And we'll take whatever we can from you, and we'll learn whatever we can. So if you can give a short intro to what you do and what Lightrun does.
To ask me anything. In short about the company, so yeah, we build a world where software is autonomously fixing itself. We call it autonomous software mediation. So basically, in short, the last couple of years, specifically, seeing this direction, people have seen, the cursors of the world, Windsurf of the world, Copilot, and so forth, reshaping how fast software is being built. So our mission is quite simple with the board. The next frontier is how fast software is being fixed. So if software is being built in minutes, with us, software is being fixed in minutes. And in a world where software is running in the world, every single one of us can feel when mission critical software fails. From flight checking, by the way, flight checking is over here, to how hospitals operate, the banking apps accounts, and so forth and so forth. So software is already running in the world, and when it fails, it's painful. And our mission is, you guys, all of us, consumers of different type of mission critical application software, with us, you wouldn't feel any impact because software will be autonomous to fix once things go wrong, rather than impacting so many users out there. So far, a bit about the company. So far, raised at around 110 million for revenue. Operating mainly from Israel, New York. Yeah, I think that's all. So happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Cool. So look, guys, this is supposed to be a practical session with real life stories and lessons that hopefully everyone that joined can use. Time will permit us. Some of them are embedded into the questions that we ask the panel, and some of them will keep to the end of the session. Yeah. So let's really dive in. So I'll start with a question to all of you, and Ilan, you'll be able to go first. You are all now at a couple of millions in ARR, or at least over $1 million. And I know that you had
Actually much more.
Yeah,
much more.
And you and Ilan much more. And I think you all had different paths to get to your first million in ARR. So I'm really curious, how long did it take you to get to the first million? And what was the challenges back in the early days? I know that in today kind of world with AI, sometimes you hear about companies that they spike in ARR in 3 months. That's not the common thread, for sure not for non-Gen AI companies, but I know that getting to the first million is tough. It's not an easy process. So Ilan, if you would start.
Yeah, so in terms, it's quite sensitive, but I don't mind sharing. I believe it took us a bit 18 months to bring the first customer, like real, I would say, significant customer that is going beyond, I would say, design partnership program. In this new Gen AI era, it sounds quite a lot, but we also need to take into account that we've been around before. This is the first, second, we truly have proprietary deep tech that we have developed, which makes us unique up until now, even with this craziness around Gen AI. So eventually it was a killing differentiator point that we had to stabilize before we reach out to customer. Just to bring more context here, our product eventually is being deployed at some of the most sensitive production environments across the planet, which means we truly had to stabilize it and make sure that it's running at scale at the enterprise level, supporting so many InfoSec, security, data, privacy, deployment, and so forth requirements. So it took us a lot of time to get to $1 million in ARR. It took us about a year. In terms of how did we do that? Apologies if I'm disappointing some of the folks here, mainly the founders, hoping to have any specific prescription. It's mainly hustling around simply creating a list of who you think should be the right buyers. Create a list of 50, 100, buyers that you think should fit the best with, the product that you're catering to the market. Come up very, I would say, ready and prepared to explain why you think that this is the purpose of the best potential converting customers. So work a lot about, intelligence and collecting different signals about, the pain over there. And then US founders, including CEO, including CTO, going one by one and hustling around using your VC network, using any other work network that you acquired down the line, and making sure that you're acquiring and while acquiring also learning as more as you can, because again, it's on you, I believe, to reach this $100 million milestone. And then given those, I would say, insights, you will be able to train your next GTM team that is you're going to hire somewhere in between like 500K to $1 million, where you'll get in there and see some repeatable patterns. This is probably the right time. Heads up for the next question that you're probably gonna have around what should be the right time to hire first GTM hires. So at the beginning, you should hustle. You should, while hustling and acquiring those accounts, should also identify what are the patterns helping you, account over account to bring them or, iterate internally with your product roadmap strategy and so forth. And then once you're already about to reach this $1 million mark, you're probably ready to scale it and bring the first, SDR, the first seller, the first, like marketing and so forth. So this is
And what got you over the challenges, in the early days?
I think mainly, again, I'm sure it's not surprising, mainly listening to customers and making them super, super, super happy, but also being super, I would say, realistic, not falling in love with your offering, making sure that you're solving a real big problem. And this real big problem is also a problem that they're willing to pay on. There are tons of problems that you can solve, and surprisingly, tons of solutions that deliver great ROI. But eventually, what we should also keep in mind that your problem should be prioritized. There are, again, tons of problems. Some of them are huge, but they're simply not prioritized, which means you will need to educate the market all over again with a problem. I believe a better approach will be, hey, a problem is already acknowledged out there in the market, and guess what? We're coming up with a solution. But someone already budgeted, solving this problem.
Awesome. And Stav, any question?
Yeah, so similar, like many of the points is similar in terms of like it took us a long time until we got like the first real customer. We actually there is a few ways to look at it. Like after 3 months, we brought our like first a paying customer, but it was a kind of a POC or like that we want to run with, like a person that we want to run with our idea. We brought a few like this, like design partners. We want to make sure that they have the budget to pay, but I think like what we understood there, like and for like 2 years we kind of like was very stable with those customers, didn't really grow, wasn't around, I think I don't know, not even 100K. And then in the 6 months we jumped from 100K to $1 million after did some changing and listened to the market. So I think there is a few things. We were in a place that we fell in love kind of with our idea. We didn't listen so much to the market, that we didn't saw like very high demand for it. We thought maybe we need to build like a bit what Ilan said. Maybe we need to build it like hard and bring like a real deep value, and then they will need it. So we will bring deep tech into the picture, and then they will need it. But I think in the same time we did a lot of tests and campaigns for like fake doors tests, just to listen to the market. And we discovered that there is like many waves like everyone knows here that there are many waves that coming, and you just need to have like this windsurf, this wind how do you say, surfboard, to kind of go with this wave. And I think that after a few, like almost 1 year of different tests of campaigns that we run, that we try to understand where there is high demand, we found a place with a very high demand that is part of our vision, and went after it, and then it started to kind of explode.
Awesome. Yoav, you want to go next?
Yeah, I think my story is a bit different because we're like a PLG bottom up approach. It's not that sales heavy. So when we launched the product around November 22, and it took us around a year to reach the 1 million mark, like the product market fit, kind of traditional benchmark. I think what's unique about the process is the first 6 months, it was like an ongoing iteration, both on the data and talking to customers. We basically talked to customers every day to get feedback, and we looked at the data and we're really obsessed about two specific metrics. One is activation metric, like what makes people actually use the product. In our case, it's creating 3 videos in the first 2 days. And the second one is conversion from activation to pay, like what really makes people not just use the product, actually pay for it. We did a lot of iteration and experiment about different personas, different geos, different company sizes. We did pricing experiments, monthly versus annual, moved around features and plans. And after around 6 months, we kind of figured out what really makes people to drive them to pay, and then we really started to scale. So most of the revenue came in the second half of the year. And I think that's kind of part of the beauty about PLG is the product wins. There's no sales reps in the process, then the product should do the sales side by itself, and it should be kind of intuitive in the process of the onboarding.
Awesome. So I think what I'm hearing is that getting to 1 million can take sometimes a long time. There is no like one approach for it, but it seems that the three of you had like one thing in common, which is tight feedback loops with the customer, understanding what's working, and doing a lot of iterations in the process, and mainly a lot of listening. I think falling in love with what you had in the beginning. And I think if I remember from the Monday days, it was always said that getting to the first million is the toughest part in building the company, and then you need to get pretty fast from 1 to 10 to know that you're going to be a huge company. And Ilan, you are already there, and I'm sure that Guidde and Alta will follow soon. Now I want to break it into the different go-to-market approaches, and you might have things in common, but the plays is kind of different. So Yoav, maybe you'll continue. So you mentioned that you're doing a PLG motion, and like on paper it makes sense. And I'm meeting a lot of startups, and everyone is telling me we want to do the Monday approach, but it's not really a fit for everyone. So what told you that that's the right approach for your product? Was it the buyer, the market, the product behavior? How did you know?
I think first of all, like as you said, PLG isn't a good fit for every product and every market. The first is the persona or the ICP you're targeting. For example, not every person, like if you target developers, they're used to buy self-service manner, versus if you target HR folks, they usually typically are looking for some human assistant in the process. So I think you need to first make sure that your ICP knows and is looking for a self-service like a process. Second of all, the user and the buyer should be the same one, or at least not more than one hop above, like if it's the team lead on top. The second one is what everyone are talking about, the aha moment in the onboarding, like how fast can you bring the user to this aha moment, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 1 hour, because that's like your window to really win the attention span of the user. And if you to get to that point, you need a CRM integration or something, or a CISO approval to install something, then you're kind of stuck. So I think it's also about the onboarding process. And the last one is the time to value, or the viral loops. Like in our case, the viral loop is someone that creates a video, share it with someone, and gets a view notification to close the loop. Once you reach that, is motivated to create more videos, share it with more people, and invite more folks, and then you get this team level impact. So I think a viral loop can help you go fast. And again, it doesn't fit every product. It really depends. Some cyber product have 1 user or 0 users. It's everything is automated. So it really depends.
Mm-hmm. And Dylan, you are operating in a different space. So why didn't you go PLG? How did you decide when to push top down versus let teams explore bottom up?
Yeah, sure. So basically, I would align here with Yoav. The first step is definitely defining like what's the ICP, the real customer profile. By the way, it may change, right? If it doesn't change, along the way, it either means you're onto something huge or not adapting fast enough at the startup. But assuming you already defined ICP, and by the way, by saying ICP, what I mean is, I would say, who are those customers that, the same pain you're targeting and addressing is the biggest for them, they're willing to pay the most for. But also, when you take into account the operational efficiency to acquire those customers and combine those 3 elements all together, you're coming up with the greatest net positive, right? So for us, we asked ourselves, okay, so who are those customers given that we're solving software resiliency issues that are willing to pay the most, or the business impact is the greatest. And we found out that those are the biggest financial services, the biggest banks in the world, the biggest tech organizations, basically whatever stuff, mission critical software would run at scale flawlessly, where every minute counts, every second counts, and the SLA or uptime costs are enormous. Running huge development teams, they probably are suffering from or are willing to pay much higher than smaller organizations where each one of us as founders can hang up a phone to the customers and apologize, rather than Bank of America. If Bank of America fails or Apple iPhone fails, it shuts the world, right? So once we figured out what's our ICP, which is for us targeting the biggest enterprises, running the biggest digital assets, generating the most revenue from those applications at scale, and again, I said before, every second counts. Then we asked ourselves, and this is maybe 2 cents I will give to the audience here, not what's the right way to sell to them or to go to market, but how are purchasing decisions made into those organizations, and specifically those, for us, specifically those big giant organizations. Developers are not the ones who do any purchase decisions. They are definitely part of the loop, which is why we also work closely with developer communities and creating some engagement there, because eventually those are the practitioners using our product. Yet our GTM is top down, because those enterprises, the strategic big resilience related decisions or purchasing decisions of whatever software is going to be embedded as part of their production operation systems are definitely CIOs, and are definitely super high hierarchy decision makers. And those are not using any PLG product, but rather they're having committees, and they're having very, I would say, enterprise level complex decision making, which you should be aware of, and you should be strategizing ahead of time. And it's a different motion than letting everyone use the product free. And eventually, as we all know, developers don't have any budget. So it's very nice that you give them the product for free. So it's more around understanding who's the ICP, and rather than how should we sell them, how do they currently purchase software, and then align with this process.
Yeah. Great, thanks. And Stav, you grew at Monday, which was very strong on kind of pure digital marketing and PLG on top of it. But I know that at Alta you've started from a different approach, then you changed direction again. So what helped you figure out the right motion for you?
Yeah, so I think there is what did you guys said so far is like there is like a kind of a playbook of like what is the product you're like, who is their ICP and what is the product you're selling to, and then there is a go-to-market approach that fits for it. But I think, I don't know, even for Ilan case, if you look at Cursor or MongoDB, like you're selling a DB for like their goal is to sell MongoDB is like to large enterprises that want to use a database. It's for CIO. It's like very heavy sell, but they started from like PLS motion, so they give like freemium and for Alta in the beginning, this is what we thought. I thought like I came to this journey of like entrepreneurship with a very big pain that I want to solve. Like I want to help organization become way more efficient in the way their go-to-market operate using data. Like I said, okay, this is the pain that I want to solve. And if this is the pain I want to solve, I need to I need to change this. Like the strategy to get to this organization is to find who is the most like who is the organization, like Ilan said, who is my ICP organization that really have this pain. So it needs to be a relatively large organization. It needs to be top down, and this is how we started. And I think because entrepreneurship journey is very hard, you need to be very, very passionate about what you're doing. And but I think that what we discovered is that it's not just about what is the pain we are trying to solve and who is have this pain the most. Is maybe also about like what is the technology bring us and different ways we can get to the ICP. So we explored, like in the beginning, very heavy sales-led motion. Like Ilan said, targeted few accounts, started to run after them. And now we are very like inbound focus, but we are still not PLG. Okay, so we are doing a product-led sales, which is we have inbound flow. It's very similar. I don't know if one know your Clay play. So we do need compliance and like we are connecting to CRM and sensitive data. So I think like there is different ways, and there are tons of go-to-market different approaches. That some of them, like PLG and the sales-led, is like two very distinguished one, but there are many in the middle, and it's very important that also your passion and who do you want to sell to and how do you want to sell will be part of this journey, because you're going to hear a lot of no and you want to be on it. So
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And I think that the common thread is really understanding who the user is, who is the buyer, where that does budget sits, who makes the purchasing decision. And based on that, and fully aligned with Stav, what you said, like your passion needs to be there. Otherwise, you will not have the resiliency, I guess, to get over the bumps along the way.
Yoni, I do want to relate to what you just outlined. It's really, really important to understand who signs the deal. And usually it's a sequence of signatory rights. So it's your responsibility to understand who are all the participants approving and eventually signing the deal, because this will eventually influence everything. And what we found most of the time is that developers are not part of most of the developers of any purchasing decision, but rather they're influencer. It doesn't mean you shouldn't like treat them well or you shouldn't nurture them. To Stav's point, you know, Cursor has done amazingly with actually with everything. They simply doing amazing, but yet when they're selling, at least very recently, they started selling to the enterprise landscape, which I saw a few questions here. I mean, up from the audience about B2B, whether they're in targeting individual developers, whoever is going to pay them the 500K, million, $2 million, $3 million checks, they won't be developers, right? But whether the CIOs or SPP and so forth. So depends on what you're trying to achieve. The previous ICP was only around individual developers. Now they're targeting the enterprise as part of the strategy. And they're definitely coming up with more and more adjustments of how they're going to wrap their solution to be more adjusted to the CIO needs. And I truly need to take the flight. So it was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
And thank you so much.
Safe flight.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Yoni, I think an important point on PLG, because most people think of PLG as a way to drive revenue. And if you look at the top PLG companies in the world, Notion, Canva, Monday, and others, 75% of the revenue comes from sales. So I think we look at PLG as probably the most effective marketing channel we have, because you can land an account like Heineken with a cost of acquisition of $30. Yeah, the initial PLG revenue is small, but you already have skin in the game. They know the product, they love the product, and now we need to do the bump up to the C-level and what Ilan just said. But I think from our point, it's just a easier entry point to a large organization versus going top down. But again, it really depends on product, market, use case.
So Stav, I want to take you to your first go-to-market hire. I remember the early days at Monday when we just started to build the team. Every hire was critical. You wanted expectations to be aligned. At what point did you understand that you have to bring the first go-to-market hire and kind of move from a founder-led to building a team that will be able to push forward? And what did you look for in that person?
So first of all, it was like after 1 year of starting to build what we're building, and after understanding that I need a lot of focus on this area in order to crack who we are going to tackle. Like I understood, okay, we're not succeeding to create demand, like high demand and traction, so we need to start execute tests to understand the market and understand the demand. This cannot be something that I'm doing on the way. I need to have a real focus on it. And because we were in a phase that we didn't have an engine yet, like we didn't know what is our engine, I needed a full stack marketer, someone that can really think about like that can kind of be a Swiss knife of marketing. Luckily, I knew someone like this from Monday, and she was my first hire, and their role was to execute tests one by one, and I think like once we figure out what is the engine that works for us, so she became more expert in this engine because she also built it from scratch, and because also I think like marketing is changing constantly, very like every few months new ways are evolving. So I think that I needed for her to have a data skill, like she can understand the data, she can clearly understand if she succeed or not, to understand like how to work KPI based, and yeah, I think this is the two be creative and to work with other providers if needed, like for content creation and stuff like this.
Yoav?
So I think on my side, first of all, when we hired the first GTM hires, so first of all, I look at the cultural fit. Like I think the DNA is super important to have someone that has a good fit to an early stage startup, even if it's Israeli or in the US based. Fast decision, fast iteration, getting feedback, not afraid to test new stuff, fail, and then move to other experiment. On the sales side, Dan and I, like the two founders, we did the sales till we reached around first million, and then we hired someone in New York. Again, ex-Monday, so there's a lot of Mondays folks.
All the dots connect.
Yeah, but I think besides the cultural fit, the second thing I was looking for is first of all a go-to-market fit, like someone that has experience in our stage and above. So if you're, let's say, in the 1 million to the 10 million stage, and then someone that if we're doing a bottom-up approach, someone who saw how to scale that kind of sales motion. And that's why we looked for a specific individual that have that both in terms of stage and go-to-market experience.
Awesome. I can say that at Monday the sales team was added kind of late in the stage, but I think one advice I got, which is true for hiring your first position, but also for A/B tests that you do, is if you have the budget for it, I would say hire 2 people. The problem with hiring one person is that if he does a poor job, you don't know if it's the product or the rep, and if he does a good job, again, you don't know if it's the rep or the product, and you need to have some kind of benchmark to test it. So I know it's a challenging ask, especially for bootstrap startup, but for those that did raise their pre-seed seed round, I would highly recommend it. And again, this is how we did all A/B tests also, just to make sure that we are not counting on one person when we do that. So moving quickly on to the next one, before we have 2 more, and then we'll leave 10 minutes for the questions that we gathered from the audience. What's one mistake or wrong assumptions that you made about go-to-market? If you can share a go-to-market assumption that didn't hold, yeah, and what you think people should watch and walk away with.
Yoav, you want to start?
Cool. So first of all, so I think on our side, because it's a PLG motion, we grew pretty fast from, let's say, within the first 2 years, we grew from 0 users to more than 100,000 users. And in the early days, because we're like a cross-vertical solution and we can address a lot of use cases and a lot of persona, in the beginning, we went a bit too broad. We didn't go laser focus on a specific ICP. And then after a few months, we changed that perception. We improved the way we quantify ROI, the messaging, even the product roadmap. And then we saw a lot of, like, it was easier to scale and be more repetitive because the feedback was much more, the pattern was much more identical. So I think even if you're a cross-vertical solution, pick one ICP, figure out how you scale that, then bring a second ICP and do it gradually. Don't try to figure out all of them. We did work with 3 types of ICPs as design partners until we decide which one to focus on.
Cool. And Stav?
I would say something controversial to everything you said in the beginning. Don't listen to people. Don't listen to customers. Like many times, people will tell you, "I want faster horses," but they will actually mean they want cars, and because they don't want to faster horses that they will be tired after shorter run. So whenever someone said, "Yes, I love this idea, I want to have it," don't buy it immediately. Like, really understand that they have the willingness to pay. They have the willingness that this pain, that even if this problem really painful for them, they have the willingness to pay and to put someone dedicated on this issue from their team. Okay, not like just want like this really painful for them and they want it magically to be solved. So I think this is an assumption that we had in the beginning. People told us like it's really painful thing they have, and it took us time to really read the picture.
Yeah, cool. I think that one of the things that I maybe will add, I think that getting to the right location is a lot of iteration and testing the water. I know that at Monday we had tons of wrong assumptions and challenges. For example, we tried to do outbound to generic use cases, which cost us a lot of money and took us years to figure out. But the truth is that in reality you don't always know, and it's about failing, but then adapting really fast and being laser focused on what you do. So that would be my tip here. And last question before we take Q&A from the audience, and it's also connected to something that Elor asked in the chat. If you had to grow to 1 million in ARR again from scratch, what the first thing that you would do?
I would also talk about the second point you wrote, Elor, with product market fit. And I would say that product market fit is a point of time in time, and it's not a real thing because the product always changing and the market always changing, and so there is no like a single thing. It's called product market fit. But I think that if I want to do it faster, I wouldn't invent a category. And I would search if you have no competitors or no successful competitors, it will be much longer ride if it will be at all, like if it will get to $1 billion. So I wouldn't think to reinvent the wheel. I would think to maybe reinvent the wheel in the vision, but start from something that have a clear competitor and clear demand.
Yeah. But on my side, if I would do it again, first of all, I would take probably 2 weeks off in between to get some rest.
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks and I'm done. Yeah, but I think I would go like, again, I would pick like a daily habit or like a pain point that is highly manual and just automate it with an agent or LLM workflow. But before I'll run to build the product, I'll probably do some sort of a customer discovery process. Like I would interview between 50 to 100 people, same ICP on the same pain point. And something that worked very effective for me in the past is because when you ask for feedback and you have an idea, everyone gives you like great feedback, not the honest feedback, not the like negative feedback that you're after. And I think a question that worked really well for me is like, how would you sell it to your boss? Once someone is able to really iterate and explain to you that specific answer, then you know what's the ROI and you know he's willing to pay. And if you just ask for direct feedback, you'll probably get a lot of compliments, but not the real ones that you're really looking for. And as opposed to what Stav said about don't listen to people, don't also in many cases we as founders are in love with our own ideas. So you should be also open to criticism in general.
Awesome. Amazing. Thanks both. So we'll move to the Q&A from the audience when you guys registered. We have a lot of questions. We'll not go through them all, but we'll go through some of them. So I think two questions that kind of connect. The question is, we need funds to escalate our revenue, but VCs ask for more revenue to invest. So it's kind of a loop. How do you break the loop? And the connecting question is, what go-to-market moves could help get your startup on investor radar, pre or at micro revenue?
I think for the first question, Yoni, maybe you can answer better as a VC perspective now. If someone came with a low traction, with low ARR, like there is another way of showing traction and that the product is good and not just ARR or revenue. So
Yeah, I fully agree. I think that there is. I see many startups. They still don't have revenue, but the amount of trials that they are running with customers, the intent that they get from the market and installed, and I think on one end there is nothing like paying customers. Up until then, like Yoav said, everyone will tell you what you want to hear. When they have to pay, you hear the truth. But I think there are a lot of kind of proxies to that ARR that come from getting traction, having the right references from customers that have already trialed you or are design partners. And if the design partners are interesting companies, it makes it all significantly better and will help you to kind of break the loop, get that funding, and break from that. I know Yoav, if you want anything to add to that, but
yeah, I think on my side it's twofold. First of all, like it's the founder's market fit. Like if you have a good story, like in Stav's case, she has a great story, right? She built it in Monday in the early days, and then she reached out. I was one of their design partners, and she reached out, and she knows what she was talking about. She was passionate. So I think it's also an important aspect. And second of all is also it's not about just the revenue. It's also the go-to-market and the total addressable market and how hard it is to build that specific solution today with the LLM, right? Every investor hear about LLM and AI in every call. They want to hear about like what's unique about you. Is there any tech mode, any go-to-market mode, any specific knowledge you guys have? And I think that kind of can tell a different story.
And maybe to add on what I said previously about customers that don't listen directly to what the customer said and think what they actually meant. If a VC tell you that you need more more revenue, so something in the story is not adding up right, and because they know that you need more money to bring more revenue, so they might mean something else, and that you might have other holes in your story.
Right. By the way, VCs is like dating. You don't need a lot of those. You need one. So like just find the right one for you, even if you get a lot of no's on the way.
that's true. Just make it Entrée Capital. But so next question. So before kind of your soft launching, before the product is fully ready, but you are already trying to get your first customer, how do you manage the expectation with the customer? And then there was another question which is kind of similar. How do you build trust before you have an established customer references? So the very initial ones.
Yeah. So first of all, I think it's all about like aligning expectation, as you said, like telling where you're at, where you're heading, and also saying what you expect from them? You want them to do a daily session, a weekly session, give you feedback, and so on. Second of all, I think it's also important to sign some sort of a 6 months or 3 months POC agreement. It also shows how serious both sides are. And I think in terms of expectation, it's also about the human. In that stage, it's all about the human communication and trust. It's not about the product, not about the technologies. Do they believe in your vision and in the founders? And if they do, they will be happy with, even if the product is broken and tons of bugs on the way.
Maybe just to add to it a bit, you need to know really good what you need from the customer in order to succeed. So if you know that I don't know, you need from their time X hours for onboarding those people, like who's the people that involve. So you need to be sure that they have like part of the alignment and the set of expectation will be that they will bring also what needs to the table, so it will be successful. Like it will be successful together.
And another question that we got is, what's the right mindset? Keep it lean and extend runway, or use resources to grow faster, which is also always like questions that we also get. So how do you manage the two?
I think first of all, it's a moving target. The market is not waiting for you, so you do need to move fast. On the other hand, you don't want to burn too much. I think it really depends. Build the plan for the next 2 years. Work on based on that. If your revenue increases in the pace you expect, spend more. If not, spend less. So it's really about balance and be thoughtful of the spend versus revenue. But again, if you did reach product market fit and you have a scalable way, whether it's PLG or not PLG, whether it's inbound or outbound, just double down and go as fast as you can. If not, use the funds to buy more time and figure out what you need to do.
Stav, anything to add?
There is like a rule of thumb that depends on the runway that you have and like when is your next round. But let's say if you have 6 months runway and you want to double down and make it shorter to 3 months, even if the engine is really good, it's not that smart.
Yeah, go raise more.
Yeah, just go raise more money.
Yeah. So I think it's all about finding the right balance, but I think one of the things that many people miss is that there is a price to not accelerating, and a lot of founders are very cautious about the spend while they have 18, 24 months. And I think that there, if you have to Yoav points, if you have market fit and the intent of the market is there, you'd pay a bigger price for not speeding up than for speeding up and risking some of the budget. Cool, we'll do maybe 2 more. The next one is, did you ever consider integration and partnership with giants in your industry without a concrete client requesting it to generate success as a go-to-market motion? And if not, why not?
So on our side, we did a few partnerships in the last few months, especially for markets that are either not English speaking, like Mexico or Spain, or markets that we have issues with supporting in terms of time zone, like Australia. But in most cases, we picked like a smaller partner that can also move fast, has some sort of a customer base you can already leverage, and we were targeting partners of specific tools that are already targeting our ICP. So you get, it's like an ICP, you have like the ideal partner profile that you're after. If you sell to support, look at partners of Zendesk and Salesforce. If you sell to marketing, look at partners of HubSpot and so on. So that's my take. Again, it really depends on the product, on the market, and a lot of other like aspects of it.
And yeah, I think it's also like on the stage. So if you're in the like first customers, with disclaimer that there is no one playbook, and I'm sure there is startups that succeeded by starting with a partnership. But I think that in the first few customers, you need to leave them. You need to understand everything that they're doing in the system, every interaction they have. So if you can, I don't know, use this partner and record all this like every session or every interaction they have, and really understand who is this giant itself. So maybe it's a good way to start. But if it's not so, I think you need to understand your customer in the beginning.
Yeah,
For sure, I wouldn't do it in the early days, for sure, because you lose the interaction with the customer and the understanding of ICP. I would do it maybe after like a year or two after, if it makes sense, after your product market fit.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think in very unique cases when you understood that your buyers and ICP, that's the way that they buy, then, and you are a significant enterprise play, that makes sense. In most cases, it's a risky play, not doing it all on your own, and it's something that you can obviously add later on. So we need to wrap up. So I want to thanks everyone for joining. Hopefully you're leaving with a few insights and learnings that you'll be able to implement. Big thank you, Stav and Yoav, and someone will send a thank you to Ilan as well when he lands. And thanks everyone for joining.